Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. K.P. Yadav, head the Department of English, Sri Viswanath PG College, Kalan, Sultanpur. I start teaching BA second year, subject English. The topic is Dream Children. I was on Here John Elish, Here John, style deposited by upon the poet a bunch of grapes which not unobserved by allies he had meditated dividing with her, and both seemed willing to relinquish them for the present as irre- irrelevant, irrelevant, then in somewhat a more heightened tone. I told how though their great grandmother Field loved all her great grandchildren, yet in an special manner she might be said to love their uncle John Lamb, because he was so handsome and spirited a youth and a king to the rest of us, and instead of moping about in solitary corners like some of us, he would mount the most mettlesome horse he could get. In this passage, author is telling about his dream children named Elias and John, that they had great eagerness for the fruit which were hanging, that were the bunch of grapes and other fruits which were hanging. Next, the author says, he tells about his great grandmother Field, that she was very good and she loved the children, and also she loved John Lamb, who was the elder brother of John Lamb. Although here is the irony, the mock, because he was not careful to the family. That is why Lamb promised never to marry. Lamb says, Charles Lamb says that he was handsome and spirited a youth and a king to the rest of us. In this way he tells. And next he says, the most mettlesome horse he could get when but an imp no bigger than themselves, and make it carry him off over the country in a morning, and join the hunters when there were any out, and yet he loved the old great house and gardens too, but had too much spirit to be always pent up within their boundaries, and how their uncle grew up to man's state, as brave as he was handsome, to the admiration of everybody but of their great grandmother Field most especially, and how he used to carry me upon his back when I was a lamb-footed boy. Lamb tells about the sympathy of his brother who did not care. Here is irony, here is satire, which has been applied by Lamb to his elder brother. Next he says, and I did not always make allowances enough for him when he was impatient and in pain, nor remember sufficiently how considerate he had been to me when I was lame-footed, and how when he died, though he had not been dead an hour, it seemed as if he had died a great while ago. Such a distance there is betwixt life and death. Life becomes mysterious also. Here is the mystery of life, birth and death, and how I bore his death as I do pretty well at first, but afterwards it haunted and haunted me, and though I did not cry or take it to heart, as some do, and as I think he would have done it if I had died, yet I missed him all day long, and knew not till then how much I had loved him. I missed his kindness, and I missed his crossness, and wished him to be alive again, to be quarrelling with him, rather than not have him again, and was an uneasy without him, as he, their poor uncle, must have been when the doctor took off his limb. Here the children fell a crying and asked if their little mourning which they had on was not for Uncle John, and they looked up and prayed me not to go on about their uncle, but to tell them some stories about their pretty dead mother. Then I told how for 7 long years in hope, sometimes in despair at persisting, ever I quoted the fair Elish Binturton. Lamb loved a lady, Charles Lamb loved a lady named Elish Binturton. He offered his love to her, and as much as children could understand, I explained to them what kindness and difficulty and denial meant in maidens, when suddenly turning to Elias, the soul of the first Elias looked out at her eyes with such a reality of representment that I became in doubt which of them stood there before me, or whose that bright hair was. And while I stood gazing, both the children grew gradually fainted to my view receding. In this way, Lamb is telling about the beauty of that lady named Elias Binturton, whom Charles Lamb loved, but he was not succeeded in marriage, although he loved her heartily. There was passionate love to him to her, but he failed. He is telling, he is disclosing his emotion before the public, before the children, that he loved a lady named Elias Binturton, and still receding till nothing at last but two mournful features were in the uttermost distance, which without speech strangely impressed upon me the effects of his speech. In this way the children were disappearing because Lamb was dreaming. Lamb didn't marry. That is why they were not real children of Lamb. It was the dream story of Lamb. Imaginary children. We are not of Elias, nor of thee, nor are we children at all, the children of Elias call, but from Father. We are nothing less than nothing and dreams. We are only what might have been and must wait upon the tedious source of leap. Millions of ages before we have existence and a name, and immediately awakening, I found myself quietly seated in my bachelor armchair, where I had fallen asleep with the faithful Bridget unchanged by my side, but John Lamb or James Shelia was gone forever. In this way, Lamb has told his story. He was bachelor. He had neither wife nor children. It was the imaginary story of Lamb in which he has told his autobiography, that he loved a lady, and he also had a vision for children, but he failed because he remained bachelor throughout his life, although he has also told about his brother John Lamb, who was careless for his family. That is why he promised never to marry, but he has told that he was very careful and amiable to Lamb. He loved him very much, but it was not right. He was careless for the family. That is why when his sister stabbed her mother, he promised never to marry. In this way, this was the main concept, this was the main thing by which Lamb did not marry. Okay, I shall meet you in the next video, dear students. Thanks.